Once upon a time, near the edge of a deep and shadowy forest, there lived a poor woodcutter with his 2 children, Hansel and Gretel, and their stepmother. They were kind children, always helping their father gather wood, fetch water, and keep the small home tidy. But times were hard. The land was dry, work was scarce, and the cupboards were almost always empty. Most nights, the family went to bed hungry. One evening, Hansel noticed his father staring sadly into the fire. His hands trembled with exhaustion. Gretel leaned close to her brother and whispered, "Papa looks so tired again. We haven't had bread in 2 days." Hansel smiled faintly. "Don't worry, Gretel. I'll think of something. We always stick together, right?" "Right," she said, taking his hand. "Together forever." But that night, when the moon rose high and the children were supposed to be asleep, they heard voices from the next room. The stepmother's voice was sharp and cold. "We can't feed them anymore. Tomorrow we'll take them deep into the forest and leave them there." The father's voice cracked with sorrow. "They are my children. I can't do that. Do you want us all to starve?" she hissed. "It's the only way." Hansel and Gretel's hearts pounded. Gretel began to cry silently, but Hansel whispered, "Don't cry. I have an idea." When everyone was asleep, Hansel slipped quietly out of the house. The moonlight shimmered on the ground, and he filled his pockets with shiny white pebbles from the garden. At dawn, the stepmother called cheerfully, "Come along, children. We're going for a walk in the forest." Hansel and Gretel followed her and their father down the narrow forest path. But as they walked, Hansel secretly dropped pebbles behind him, one by one, leaving a trail that sparkled faintly in the light. After hours of walking, they reached a small clearing. The stepmother built a fire and said, "Rest here, my dears. Your father and I will come back for you soon." But the children waited and waited, until the fire turned to ashes. "Do you think they'll come back?" Gretel asked softly. Hansel took her hand. "Don't worry. The moonlight will show us the way." When the moon rose, the pebbles shone like tiny stars on the forest floor, leading them safely home. Their father opened the door in disbelief and hugged them tightly. But behind him, their stepmother's eyes were hard as stone. A few days later, she spoke again to her husband. "We have no more food. This time, we must take them farther into the forest." The poor man protested, but she would not listen. That night, Hansel tried to sneak outside for more pebbles, but the door was locked tight. All he could do was take a small piece of bread from his pocket and crumble it into tiny pieces, hoping to leave a new trail. The next morning, they were led into the forest once again. As they walked, Hansel quietly dropped the crumbs behind them. But what the children didn't see was that little birds followed, eating up every last piece. When night came and the parents never returned, Gretel began to cry. Hansel tried to stay strong. "We'll follow the trail back." But when they turned to look, the crumbs were gone. "The trail, it's gone," whispered Gretel. Hansel looked around, his heart sinking. "Then we'll keep walking. We'll find our way home together." 4 days they wandered through the endless forest. Their feet were blistered, their stomachs empty. The trees seemed to whisper around them, and strange shadows danced in the mist. Just when they thought they could walk no more, they saw something glimmering through the trees. There, in a sunny clearing, stood a little house, its walls made of gingerbread, its roof covered in frosting, and the windows edged with candy canes. "Look, Gretel!" cried Hansel. "It's real." Gretel's eyes widened. "We found dessert heaven." They rushed to the house and began to nibble on the sweet walls, breaking off chunks of gingerbread and sucking the sugar from the roof. Then, from inside, a voice called out sharply, "Who's nibbling at my house?" The children froze. The door creaked open, and an old woman appeared. Her eyes glinted beneath her wrinkled brow, but her voice was soft and sweet. "Oh, my poor dears," she said kindly. "You must be starving. Come in. Come in. There's plenty of food." Inside, the table was covered with steaming pies, roasted meat, and warm bread. The children ate until they could eat no more. But the old woman was not kind at all. She was a wicked witch who lured hungry children with sweets and cooked them for her meals. That night, while Hansel slept, the witch grabbed him and locked him in a small iron cage. "You'll fatten up nicely," she cackled. "And as for you, little girl, you'll be my servant. Fetch water, cook, and clean." Every day, the witch poked Hansel's cage, checking to see if he was plump enough to eat. But Hansel was clever. He had found a small bone in his cage, and each time she reached in, he held it out instead of his finger. "Still so thin," she grumbled. "What's taking so long?" Days passed, and the witch grew impatient. "Fat or thin," she snarled, "I'll eat him tomorrow." She lit a roaring fire and called Gretel. "Girl, crawl in and see if the oven is hot enough." Gretel's heart pounded. "I don't know how. Can you show me?" "Foolish girl," the witch muttered and leaned forward to demonstrate. In that instant, Gretel gathered all her courage, gave the witch a mighty shove, and slammed the oven door shut. The witch screamed and pounded, but Gretel held the door tight until everything was still. Tears filled her eyes as she ran to Hansel. "Hansel, she's gone." He burst out of the cage and hugged her tightly. "You did it, Gretel. We did it together." Inside the witch's house, they discovered chests filled with gold coins, pearls, and precious gems. Their eyes sparkled with wonder. "Now we'll never go hungry again," said Hansel. "Let's go home." They filled their pockets and followed a path out of the forest. This time, the trees seemed friendlier, the birds sang softly, and sunlight guided their way. When they reached their little house, their father ran to them in disbelief. Tears streamed down his face as he hugged them both. "My children," he said, voice breaking, "I am so sorry. I was weak and afraid. I missed you every single day." Gretel smiled gently. "It's okay, Papa. We're home now." From that day on, they lived together in peace. The stepmother was gone, and their home was filled with laughter once again. Hansel and Gretel had faced the darkest woods, outsmarted evil, and found their way back to love and safety. And they never went hungry again, because when you stand by those you love, and never give up hope, even the deepest, darkest forest cannot keep you lost.